Hello. This is the story of my high school sweetheart and how she passed away. My first week of high school went as most do. Overwhelming homework, signing up for electives, and meeting a ton of new PPL. I had broken up with my girlfriend a few weeks prior, so I was still dealing with that along with all of the new things in a new school. Everything was going great. I got onto the high school football team and everything. Things were looking up for me at school. One day I was walking back from science class, and I caught a glimpse of the most beautiful girl I had ever seen. I had to go talk to her. I may have been a jock, but I didn't fit the stereotype. I was very shy and reserved. I was absolutely horrible when it came to talking to new girls. So I mustered up the courage to go and say hello. As we stood there in between periods talking, I fell more and more in love with her. She was funny, smart, and beautiful. What more could a teenager want? So we started dating. I had never ever met someone that cared for me like she did. She laughed at all of my horrible jokes and genuinely cared for me. Fast forward to our junior year. We had been dating now for almost 3 years. We had talks about having kids, getting married, and starting a family together. Everything was absolutely perfect except for one thing. I had never met her family. So one day I asked her why I had never met her parents. I felt that since we were so serious, I should meet them. Also, we hadn't had sex yet either, which as a teenage boy I wanted to very, very badly. She told me that there was a lot about her family that I needed to know but had been dreading telling me. So after school that day I asked her to tell me. She sat me down and explained that her father was very abusive. I didn't quite understand at all. I grew up in a very loving family. My parents never even argued in front of me and my sister. She went on to tell me that her father would come home from the bar after work and start beating her mother, her and her little sister for no reason at all. I was floored. I knew she would stay home from school here and there, but she always would say she was sick. To find out when she would stay home from school, it's because he had beaten her very badly. She got really good at hiding the bruises with makeup because I had no idea at all. I was furious. How is this a thing? She made me promise not to say anything because she didn't want to break their family up. I reluctantly agreed. Fast forward a few months, we decided we had been dating long enough to finally go all of the way. So we played bookie from school that day. I knew her parents would be at work, so I snuck over to her house. We made love the entire morning. I knew I had to leave soon before her mom got home from work, so I kissed her and snuck back out. Later that night she called me from the hospital. Her dad came home drunk that night and beat her really bad. He then made her make him a cup of coffee. She was in excruciating pain to the point that when she grabbed his coffee cup a sharp pain ran through her and she dropped and broke his favorite coffee cup. He then proceeded to take her arm and snap it over his leg. I ran to the hospital as fast as I could. That night I met her mother. She was a very quiet woman. She just sat there holding on to the bed. I told my GF that she had to leave that house. She couldn't stay there. She then went on to tell me that she couldn't leave her mom and sister behind. I was furious. I wanted to hurt her father in ways I can't say. Her mom just sat there on the side of the bed silent. Tears were rolling down her face because she knew that she allowed this to happen for so long. After a few days she was allowed to go home. The abuse continued but not as bad as before since she was in a cast and all, I guess. Every day is tell my GF that I will get a job and an apartment and we could start new without her abusive father. Every time she'd always say that she couldn't leave her mother and sister alone with him. I got more and more mad every time she'd say that to me. I thought if they wanted out they would leave. Maybe they like it or something. Well, a few months go by and things slowly went back to the way it was before. One night she called me in tears after he beat her. I had enough at this point. I told her that if you don't want to leave and get away, then stop calling me complaining about it. She hung up. I tried calling her back to apologize, but she wouldn't answer. I felt horrible. The next day I skipped school and went to her house after her parents left. I had to tell her how sorry I was for reacting that way. The stress of the situation had worn my 16-year-old mind down. I wasn't prepared to deal with something like that. I knew where they hid the spare key, so I went inside. The house was very, very quiet. As I walked towards her room, I was preparing what I was going to say to her. As I walked into her room, I then realized it was too late. My GF had gotten her father's gun and took her own life. I sat down on the bed and just held her lifeless body. I just lost the love of my life. She never would know how sorry I was for the way I reacted. I didn't know what else to do. After about 30 minutes, I called the police. They called her mother and father to come home. Her mom came as fast as she could. She was an absolute wreck. The ambulance took her away and I stayed at the house holding her mother. The pain hadn't hit me completely because I still was in disbelief. After a few hours, her father came home. He went into the kitchen and grabbed himself a beer and sat in his chair and turned the TV on. The mother at this point snapped. She went into the living room and screamed at him, "How could you watch TV when your baby just died?" He turned the TV down and stared at her and said, "At least there's one less mouth to feed." I saw red at that point. I got up off her bed, still covered in blood, and beat this man. I wanted him to die. Her mother grabbed me and stopped me because she was worried I would throw my life away over someone that wasn't worth it. So I left, still in a complete fog, until I got home and the grief set in. I swear I screamed and cried for 2 days. My life felt as if it was over. I lost the one person who got me. At the funeral, I sat with her mom and sister. Her dad never came. Shortly afterwards, the mom and sister moved to Florida to be with the mom's sister. He never went to look for them. Didn't care. A few years later, he eventually died of cancer. I had never been so happy in my life. Every year, her mom would email me on the anniversary of her death, thanking me for being there for her all of those years and treating her baby good. She'd update me on their lives and how they were adjusting. At this point, I still hadn't talked about it to anyone. Not even my family. They knew about it, but they respected my privacy. Fast forward 10 years later, I was looking in my email and realized I hadn't gotten a message from her mom that year. I always looked forward to them as they gave me some form of closure. A year went by and no message. I figured she just decided to let it all go. One day I was browsing through my Facebook messages and noticed this others folder. I had never noticed it before, so I was confused about it. As I opened it, I looked through what seemed to be 100 spam messages. Then I saw it. Her mom had messaged me almost 2 years prior. Said she lost access to her email account but found me on Facebook. My heart melted. She said she found a note with my name on it from my GF. I was so excited. I messaged her as fast as I could but heard nothing back. A few days go by and I get a message from her sister. The mother had passed away a year ago. I asked her about the note that was for me. She said most of her mom's stuff had either been donated or thrown out. After all of these years, the pain hit me in a way I never knew it could. I was so close to my closure, but it slipped through the cracks. I still to this day, almost 20 years later, sit and think what she would have said in that note. I'm still healing to this day. She pops up in dreams constantly. Is it okay to still be hurting and missing her after all of these years? Should I let it go? I'm almost 40 years old now, and it still hits me just as hard today as it did then. I blame myself on a daily basis for her passing.